Hi guys, this is Radhika here. So this video is about Game of Thrones and narcissism. Um, I don't know if you guys watch Game of Thrones or if you have read the books, but just a quick introduction. So Game of Thrones is basically um, the first book in the series of books called A Song of Ice and Fire by the author George R. R. Martin. And the most it got really popular because of this HBO show, which is based on the book. And I don't think the books were that popular before the show, but the TV show really made the books popular. And I have also read, I think, the first three or four books in the collection, and they are very well written, but they are also very long. And I read them when I had the time to read them when I was just completed with my masters, and I was in that time frame of I had a job, but I could not start because of some immigration thing. But you have to wait for a EAD card or something like that. So I was waiting for that. So basically, in that time frame, I read the first three or four books, and I had already seen it on TV, the first season. But yeah, if you are following the show, then you can very clearly see narcissistic traits in some people and some of the characters. And they have really shown a narcissistic family like so well in this show, what it does to the people in the narcissistic family, what are the dynamics, and it's just brilliant the way he has shown everything. And if you read the book, you will actually uh, so the chapters are such that it is from a person's point of view. So the whole series is a story, but it's every chapter is from a particular person's point of view. So that's pretty interesting because one of the main characters is Cersei Lannister, who's like a villain. But when you actually read her chapters, in some places you will feel bad for her, and she is like one of the meanest characters on the show. Like, she does dreadful things. But it is true, when you read some of the parts, they go back, like um, to her childhood and things that were done and said. And basically, even if you hate her at some parts, you will feel empathy for her. So yeah, I think that's a great quality in the author, that he is able to bring out such emotions while you are reading the book. And of course, they cannot show all of this on TV, otherwise it will be like a never-ending thing and people will get bored. But yeah, if you read the books, it is a lot more in depth, and you will actually feel everything that the characters are feeling, and you will understand more why they are responding in a certain way to their surrounding. So yeah, I just wanted to outline two families that I wanted to discuss in Game of Thrones. So the first family, of course, is the Lannisters, and their motto is like Lannisters always pay their debts. And you will see in this whole thing, there's a lot of division, right? Seven kingdoms, families, family name. So there is this aspect of separation because it's set in, like, old times. But even today in the world, there is this aspect of separation. We do identify, like, I will identify with being an Indian who's in United States, and Americans will identify with being American. uh, People who follow a certain religion will feel I am of this certain religion. So we have all of these bonds that we form with identities, kind of, we form with either religion or country, or like, I'm a female, I'm a male, I'm a so and so. So basically, yeah, so those were the times where everyone was like supremely identified by these bonds. But nowadays, of course, it's we all feel one in a way, although we identify, okay, that is you and this is me, and we are okay like this. But at some at some level we do recognize the fact that we are all one, and we are all responsible maybe for this planet, or for just being good in general. But yeah, in those times it was not like that, so it's set in those times. So the first family is the Lannisters, and they're very proud of their pure blood, of being Lannister. They are very rich, they have a lot of gold. And as if you've seen the series, Tywin Lannister is the main narcissist. Okay, he runs the family. So he is a narcissist who loses his wife when she is birthing his third child, who is Tyrion, the dwarf, or Peter Dinklage. He plays that character. And so he associates the death of his wife with his child. And also, the child is, he's physically challenged, so he cannot grow in height. And at that time, he already has a son, Jamie, who's very well built and good at fighting and things like that. So he always feels like Tyrion is lesser than his other son. And he also has a daughter, Cersei, who who has inherited that competitiveness from her father. She is the most like him, but she is a woman, she is a girl. So her father never actually considers her as his what do you say, next in line to him. And she has this overbearing desire to rule. She wants to rule, and she knows she is good at ruling. She will be good at ruling. I mean, she thinks she will be good, but at the tyrannical rule, which she is actually, she doesn't care about people. She only cares about power. And she is really good at it. Like, if you let her rule, the people will die, but she will always rule, because she is that cruel and that cunning, and that, the like a fox. She has all of those qualities. um, so yeah, so basically in this family we see Tywin Lannister is the main narcissist. He has three children: Jaime, Cersei, and Tyrion. And Jaime and Cersei are kind of like the golden children. Actually, Jaime is the golden child because he's a male, and also he's good at fighting and all that stuff. So Jamie is the golden child and always favored by his dad. Cersei is the next one in line, so she's the one who's always like craving attention. And Tyrion is the scapegoat, so he's always blamed for, one, his mother's death, and two, being a dwarf. And yeah, basically, so Tyrion is kind of like he represents scapegoats in our society who go into some bad habits, like drug addiction or something like that, or alcoholism, or gambling, any of these addictions. And Tyrion's addiction is women, so he becomes like a sex addict because he's very rich, and he can get any woman that he wants because he has the money, although he doesn't have the looks. But he's very sharp, he's very intelligent. So yeah, he goes into this sex addiction, and there's this whole story where he loves someone, and his father goes after her, and things happen. And basically that's the point when Tyrion is like, I'm out of this shit. And that's his realization of his narcissistic family. And from there on, he cares, but he cares in a distant way. He's aloof from everyone. Of course, he does a lot of things which we can't do in life, and which we shouldn't. So he kills his dad actually. But this is a fictional story, and these were those times. So yeah, he kills his dad, and then he basically goes no contact with his family. Okay, so now let's talk about Cersei. So Cersei is the next narcissist after the dad. So she actually hates Tyrion because, so she's a flying monkey, but she's going to become the next narcissist. So she hates Tyrion because her dad hates Tyrion. So she has been programmed to hate Tyrion. And she's also very cruel. She has all the characteristics of a narcissist, and she power hungry. So she is going to be the next narcissist, or she almost is actually. Now, Jamie is actually the golden child who is an empath, but he is so confused in everything that is happening around him. And also, he's in love with Cersei, another narcissist. So I know it's weird, but yeah, it's what the story is. So he is in love with his sister, and they also have children together. But Jamie is like a prime example of an empath in relationship with a narcissist, because Jamie himself is really nice, and he has the ability to go towards the light because he is very inclined towards it anyways. He doesn't like cruelty. He does things out of love for the narcissist. So he does a lot of bad things, but he's a flying monkey. He does it for the narcissists that he loves. And he also knows I'm doing these wrong things. And so, I mean, in the series, I'm just waiting. Does Jamie also come to the realization that these things are happening? And in the latest episode, there is another queen, I forgot her name. She tells Jamie that uh, your sister Cersei, the one you love, she's like a plague. She's going to kill you. And I think a part of Jamie knows that, because he knows that I am in relationship with someone who's a narcissist, a sociopath, a psychopath. But he's gone too far now. There's nothing else he can do. Tyrion got away when he had the vivek, or he had the insight, he had the discretion to get away. But Jamie, he's in too deep. He can't go anywhere now. He is trapped in this trap. So yeah, so basically that is the first narcissistic family where hatred has completely taken over, and they are in this tornado of destruction. There's not a thread of family left anymore, but they will still say we are the Lannisters, we are this, we are that. And that happens in narcissistic families too, right? You will know inside they are completely broken, they are completely hollow, but they want to keep up this appearance to the world that, oh, we are this family that sticks together and we are really happy, and they're always trying to project that onto the world, but inside it's just all hollow. Okay, so the second narcissistic family I wanted to discuss was the Starks. So the Starks are they rule in the north, and the main person in their family, or pretty much they were equal actually, was Ned Stark and his wife Caitlin or Catelyn Stark, and they have a lot of children, and they are a pretty functional family. But what happens is Ned Stark has another son out of marriage who's not actually his son, but oh my god, I'm giving so many spoilers in this interview. I mean, in this video. So if you guys have not seen Game of Thrones, I don't know if you should see it. But yeah, if you have seen Game of Thrones till the current season, then I'll just put a spoilers alert on top. Okay. So basically, yeah, Jon Snow is supposed to be like a son born out of wedlock. So Ned Stark goes somewhere and he comes back with this baby, and he says it's my baby. So his wife, of course, is angry because they already have like, I guess, five kids together. And so suddenly he brings home this another kid, and he has been usual, like he is a good guy, a loyal guy. So his wife is really surprised, and because this is the only time pretty much he has done something out of character, she also loves him, so she allows it. Like she says, okay, fine, we can take care of this child, but he's not going to get our surname. And so he is called Jon Snow, because in those times whoever had the surname Snow was a person who is born out of wedlock. So you kind of know that they are a bastard in the real sense, not in the explicitive sense, but they are a bastard child. So basically, Jon Snow is the bastard child of Ned Stark. That's what's known in the kingdom. So Catelyn Stark, of course, hates Jon Snow because she keeps reminding her of the infidelity of her husband. But she keeps her hatred in control, and in her children, Sansa is the closest to her, like appearance wise, behavior wise. So she kind of takes on this subconscious programming from her mother. So out of all the children they like Jon Snow. The only child who doesn't like Jon Snow is Sansa Stark because she is very much like her mother. So she takes on this programming, in a narcissistic way, how the mother will pick the favorite child. So it's not said that Catelyn Stark picked the favorite child, but you can infer this because Sansa looked exactly like Caitlyn and she had all the same kind of behaviors that her mom had. So she also hates Jon Snow. But all the other kids they do not. And Caitlyn Stark does not make them hate Jon Snow. So you can see Caitlyn Stark is, because of the incidents in her life, she could have turned into a narcissist. The love that she had for her husband was kind of betrayed by him. So she could have gone to the dark side, but she doesn't. She remains very much in light, although she hates John, and which I mean, she can hate John, right? Because he is kind of reminding her of something bad. But yeah, so that's kind of like the story here, and John is the scapegoat in this scenario. Although he is not a scapegoat because of his family, he is more of a scapegoat because of the circumstances, because he is always called as bastard, and he is always made to feel like he is not a Stark, although he does everything to be a Stark. But society and people always make him feel like he's a bastard. He's not invited to the royal dinners, he's always at the stables when things like that are going on, because he cannot sit on the royal family, where all the family people sit up on the table. So he cannot do that. So because of society he is made to feel like a scapegoat, although his family actually is not that bad. Most of the kids, Stark kids, they really treat him as a brother, except Sansa. She has something against him, but she's not that bad either. She just has that feeling against him. um, so yeah, this was Game of Thrones and how narcissism is shown in Game of Thrones, and also, so the Targaryen family, they are, I think, way beyond narcissism. They are completely in the psychopathic and sociopathic spectrum, and Daenerys is probably the only sane one in all of them, and they do intermate a lot. That's why it can explain the craziness that goes around in them. So yeah, this was my video, and I just wanted to share a quote, and it's actually one of the favorite scenes I have in Game of Thrones. It's in the first season, I think, and it's the first time Tyrion and Jon meet. So these are two scapegoats from two different scenarios, right? Tyrion is a scapegoat and Jon is a scapegoat. And this is what Tyrion says to Jon. So Tyrion says, "Let me give you some advice, bastard. Never forget what you are. The rest of the world will not. Wear it like armor, and it can never be used to hurt you." And Jon says, "What the hell do you know about being a bastard?" And Tyrion says, "All dwarfs are bastards in their father's eyes." So I found this to be like, I mean, the author is so deep into human emotions that he's giving this amazing exchange between, two victims of narcissistic abuse. And the first one is telling the second one that get empowered, because Tyrion is very, very empowered. He accepts reality, he accepts that he's a dwarf, the only thing that he really is good at is his mind. So he reads a lot, he sharpens his mind. And in those times it's really difficult, right? Imagine in the old times when you had to be strong and you had to kind of win battles and men were supposed to be a certain way. There is this guy who's a dwarf and who's sensitive and who is intellectual, and it's difficult, and he sees John and he immediately recognizes that this is who I was, this is me before I became empowered. And he gives him this speech that if you are a bastard, accept that and empower yourself. So yeah, that was my take on narcissism in Game of Thrones. So I hope you like this video. Please do comment, like, subscribe, and I wish you all a lot of love and a lot of light. Thanks. Bye.